Ford, an American multinational automobile company which has been around for over 100 years in the world. This billion-dollar company's history revolves around a villager who not only transformed the ideology regarding cars, but also brought new inventions into the automobile industry of the US. Henry Ford innovated one of the most successful companies in the history. But what was his secret that turned him from a usual boy into a billionaire? Stay tuned to explore the hidden history of Ford. The Ford Company has completed more than 100 years in America's car industry. The Ford Automobile Company got its name from a boy, Henry Ford. He was born in the village of Michigan on 30th July of 1863. His parents, William Ford and Mary Ford, were farmers. Henry was the eldest of 6 siblings and had a strong hatred for farming. But still, he joined his father for a brief time in farming. As he was the oldest, his mom was another reason who sticked him in the farming business, as he was emotionally attached with her. Henry left school after 8th grade as he believes in self-learning, but once on a school trip at Detroit's company when he was 13 years old, explored the steam engine for the first time in his life, which triggered his madness for mechanics. He was good at dealing with machines from a young age, so when he was only 12 years old, he was gifted a pocket watch by his father with which he plays and tinkers. Due to his expertise in repairing watches, he got his nickname of Watch Repairman. Surprisingly, Henry was only 15 when he invented his first steam engine. Then a devastating year arrived in Henry's life in 1876. Henry's mother died due to a severe illness. After losing his mom, it was getting harder for Henry to survive on farms. So at the age of 16, opposing everything, he decided to leave for the developing industrial city of that era, Detroit, Michigan. At that time, Detroit City was rapidly progressing in producing steam engines, but it lacked young engineers. In this new industrial city, Henry developed most of his time in to learn machines. Also joined a streetcar manufacturing firm, Michigan Car Company, where he was fired from the job after 6 days. As an apprentice, he soon started working for James Flowers and Brothers Machine Shop. With this apprenticeship, he started once more with the night shift job at a shop, where he cleans and repairs the watches for 6 hours at night and 6 days per week to make ends meet. He was hired here on $3 per week salary. In 1882, at the age of 19, he returned to his home. But in this village, he resisted farming. Rather, he preferred spending his time in experiments with the machine. His father had bought a portable steam engine for his farms, which was operated by Henry. Having steam engines became usual until that time. Henry's talent was widespread across Michigan and reached the district representative of Westinghouse Engine Company in Schenectady, New York. Henry got a job call from the company. His duty was to travel to southern Michigan to fix and service the steam tractors engines of Westinghouse. In the year 1885, new beginnings were entered in Henry's life, when he met the love of his life, Clara Jane Bryans, at a New Year's Eve party. They got engaged in 1886 and finally got married in 1888. That time, while reading a British magazine, he explored a new invention, a gas engine. An inventor behind this efficient creation was a German engineer, Nicholas Otto. But he invented these gas engines in a limited quantity. Gas engines grabbed the attention of the Europeans due to their unique features. Like, they didn't require half an hour to start, as these engines had the internal combustion systems they needed. However, in the US, fewer people were familiar with the gas engine's invention. For clarifying his concepts about the gas engines, first Henry searched for a gas engine in his city. Then he applied for the position of night engineer at the giant electric company, Edison Illuminating Company. In 1893, Henry was blessed with a first and only son, Edsel Bryan Ford. 3 months after the birth of his first son, he got promoted at the position of chief engineer with a weekly salary of $100. In the same year, Henry accomplished his strong desire to build his own gas engine. Finally, on June 4, 1896, in the early morning, Henry invented his first experimental car, quadricycle, the first horseless carriage. It had a gasoline engine and a bicycle wheel. Henry's first invention had some flaws, like it has 2 gears, but no gear was for forward or reverse, and the absence of a cooling system due to which the carriage was overheated within a short drive. Henry fixed the missing components in his experimental carriage. In the new arrangements, the remarkable one was adding a cooling system into it. Henry sold out his first invented quadricycle for $200. Now he moved to his second experimental car invention, which he completed in July of 1899. with the financial help of Detroit's mayor. Then one day, Henry met with the wealthy merchant William Murphy. With him, he had taken a test drive in his newly invented car. Eventually, he became his business partner. Then on August of 1899, the Detroit Automobile Company was established. But the company didn't long live and failed after a year due to multiple reasons. Like Henry's ideas were contrasted with the stakeholders' ideas, as they were stressing him to manufacture the passenger cars. Another reason for the downfall was most parts of the cars were imported from various companies. Consequently, the entire company had to wait for the car parts delivery, which was consuming too much time and affecting the production rate badly. Due to low rate production, Henry's first car, the delivery wagon, took 6 months to manufacture. In the early 2 years, the company was able to produce only 20 cars. As a result of this, Henry was kicked out of the company. Henry didn't take his failure as a disappointment. Instead, he realized that finally he got the time to focus on the racing car's invention. At that time, car racing spot was at its peak in the US. This time, Ford's invention shook his competitors. He introduced his first racing car with 26 horsepower, which successfully beat the car of Cleveland automaker Alexander Newington. At this time, investors were ready to invest in Henry's business venture. Finally, the Ford Motor Company launched with the funding of 12 investors in the year June 16, 1903. Henry was serving as the chief engineer once again. Unfortunately, Henry was again on the edge of losing his position, as his focus was on the invention of racing cars, where his investors wanted him to produce passenger cars. They wanted to target a huge population. That's why the investors replaced the old Henry with the new Henry, Martin Leland. He obeyed the orders of his inventors, as well as renamed Ford Motor Company into Cadillac Motor Company. Henry and the former racing cyclist Tom Cooper combinedly continued building racing cars, and in 1902, they successfully launched an 80 horsepower car, the Ford 999, which was tested by Barney Oldfield, a former bicycle racer who had never driven any car ever. In 1904, Henry's racing car, the Ford 999, became the record-breaking car with the highest speed of 91.4 miles per hour. It was a thriving period of Henry's life as his third company was established. The new company was first pronounced as Henry and Malcolmson. Later on, in 1902, the company rebranded into the Ford Motor Company. In the third company, he was focused to introduce budget-friendly cars to the public, as he wanted to remove the trend from society that only the elite class can own this luxury. For the new car invention, he created 20 designs. Finally, after confirming the design of his new invention, he focused on Model A for 5 years, which came after Model N. More than upgrading design, at this point he wanted to improve the manufacturing rate, which he learned from his past failures. As the workers were able to produce one car at a time, he adopted a new idea for this issue from his visit to a slaughterhouse on his Chicago trip. Finally, in 1904, Henry collected enough money to establish his own firm, where he implemented the assembly line idea, and he became the first man in the US who revolutionizes the car and business industry. Now, he achieved the title of the bestseller, and he started making engines and transmissions in 1905. At this time, he also discovered vanadium, which is a steel that he used in his T model car, which was an astounding creation. It was a reality of his dream to bring the luxury car to common use. Henry died at the age of 83 in 1947 due to a hemorrhage. For more inspiring stories, hit the bell icon and don't forget to subscribe to us.